It's Monday. It's Monday. What's up, guys? I'm in Pirate Studios. As you can see, I had somebody ask me how I make edits. So this is a short video on how to make edits to play out. You really don't need much, just a laptop and a couple pieces of software. I'm going to show you in this video today on MusicGearMonday. Shout out to our sponsors today, Crate Connect Digital Record Pool, providing tons of new music, new releases, hundreds of different genres and chart-topping hits, everything and anything, instrumentals, acapellas, Latin, moombahton, techno, dance hall, even country music. So if you're a DJ and you want to spruce up your music library, this is a great tool to utilize. The price is just right with different options from 30 days, 90 days, and 180 days with high resolution audio. This is a great option for anybody wanting to expand their DJ library. They even have a clothing shop. This one's my favorite. Make sure to hop on over, check out Crate Connect. I will be putting a link in the description below, which will include a discounted price. So make sure to hop on that while it lasts. Alright guys, we're here and we are looking at a couple of ways to make edits inside of a couple of different programs. Today we're using Ableton, we're going to be using Serato Sample and using Serato Studio to extract some samples here. Right now I just dragged and dropped this track by Shalimar, Night to Remember. This song, we're going to basically make an edit of this. And so what we're going to do inside of Ableton, we're going to basically match it to a beat. And so right now, I want to get it into that 120 BPM range. And so what I want to do is, I want to use a program called Serato Sample. With Serato Sample, what we're going to do is extract the groove to fit within the BPM range that we want. We're going to set it on a transient, kick or snare. So now we're on the beat. And that's what Serato Sample does really well, is fit things on the groove. So what I'm going to do now is we're just going to create a region. And so each one of these little boxes, and I did a video on Serato Sample, I'll have to post up, but each one of these little pads right here coincides with the pad on your MIDI controller or MIDI keyboard or whatever you're using, laptop keys, whatever. I'm going to connect my MIDI controller, and then that way we can figure out in this region what note we're using. And you could see it triggering there. So we really don't have to play it or anything. We just put it down on the one, drag it out. And for this, we can literally drag out as far as we can, really. All right, so now that we got this hitting on the one, what I want to do is go in here and boost up the level of the track a little bit. Cool. So now I'm going to add an audio track, and I am going to basically record this audio from this track to a new audio track. So here we go. And I'm going to try to get as much of the track as possible on beat. And that's the whole entire song right there that we got. I guess I didn't have the audio recording what I was doing this last one, but literally what I was doing was grabbing that sample inside of Serato, matching it up with the grid inside of Ableton by just bringing it into Serato Sample, basically drop the track in here, add a cue on that first transient, and then what you want to do is line that up with your grid inside of Ableton and re-record it so that it'll all be on time. So now that we got this whole thing on time, we can use any of these sections with this song, and it's going to be directly on time with any of the samples or loops or instruments that we play over it. And that's where we want to start when we're making like an edit. Okay, so now we can start finding some sounds to bring in with our sample here. And if you have sample packs, sound packs, most of the stuff should be quantized or made for specific BPMs, and you can play around with it there. But you can hear this right here it's 100 BPM loop, but I can layer it right onto this track and it's going to be in time. Also, let's go back in here, find a drum loop that we can use. Let's go up here and snap to grid. So let's just put a kick on the one just to have something. There we go. So you can hear now, and then what we could do is start messing around. Let's take this compressor and we're gonna use it as a side chain for this kick, and we're gonna make it super aggressive. I mean, it's definitely stuff that you're gonna have to play around with, you know, figuring out the sound you want. You can start playing with effects, so like maybe you want to do, got all these filters that you can mess around with. You could start messing with filters, rhythm filter. Let's add fragments. You can use this groove maker. So maybe that part right there, it's the chorus. So maybe we take that and make that like the theme. What you could do too is you can create some sort of intro vibe. So maybe you start with the filter. Maybe you do like an auto filter here and start with some kind of low pass. Make it sound like it's starting somewhere else, like a radio or something. I don't really like this kick. I just grabbed it just to show you how to get one of these samples to chop. But what we can do also is take this track right here, export it out into Serato Studio. So let's solo this. Let's export it. We're going to export this into Serato Studio. Okay, so one other thing that we can do is pull that same sample into something like Serato Studio. And you can hear in here, you can basically make a version without any vocals and then without any instruments. So what it's going to do is go ahead and process, and I did a video on this as well, processes that audio and takes out the vocal. Sometimes it does a good job, sometimes. But even that right there, we can take that and we can make something with it. So right there, that's already like a nice little loop that we can build on here inside of Serato Studio if we wanted to. We can add snares and stuff. Sometimes the built-in stuff isn't that great. You got to add your own samples. So there we go. We already have one little section. I did a whole video on Serato Studio, so if you want to learn more on Serato Studio, make sure to check that out. But in here, you can start building sections. We could add another section where we start adding like hi-hats or something, toms. before I get too crazy in here, if I wanted to just take that sample that I made in here, that loop or that chop, I would basically take this section here and export it. And I would extend it, so like I would make these intro loop right here as long as I wanted to, and then I would go File, Export Song, and export it as a wave. I could export the stems, but typically I'll just export the wave that I want, Night to Rem 2, and then I will take that and go into Ableton. Okay, so we have our session here, unsolo this. So we're basically going to take this Night to Remember sample. We're going to take this, drop it in here. Let me make sure you guys can hear this. So this is our sample that we have right here. Let me solo it. And it's just a loop. We could basically just loop that. It's on time with the beat and everything. Put the drums. And if I wanted to, you know, I can repitch this. Don't forget, you have to warp it before you repitch it. But I could repitch it. Like, I'll make a totally different song if I wanted to. And it's up to you. Like I said, it's totally open. But how to start a samples is literally just bringing your song that you want to flip into a program like Ableton, fixing it to the grid or to the beat, and then from there, deconstructing it into pieces. And you could see, like I said earlier, I have these sections. So like this section here, I created by putting the song to the BPM. So like I wanted it to be 120 BPM. Originally it's 108 BPM. And what I did was take it into Serato Sample, and I used Serato Sample as a tool to get it on the beat. You don't even need to do that really inside of Ableton. If you double click on any wave file and go into this little bottom window browser here, it's going to show you the grid of any audio file, and you can move these points on any transient around to fit within the parameters of the BPM that you want it to. You can see the little playhead going through here, and each one of these bars marks, you know, the timing or the BPM. So you can literally move your waveform around to fit that BPM specifically that you want. And from there, you could start, you know, chopping these little parts into loops. But, you know, this is just the beginning. I'm going to mess around with this some more. We'll see what we come up with. Yeah, that's pretty much how you do it. That's pretty much how I make edits inside of using like Ableton and Serato Studio. And like I said, you don't need a ton of equipment, a ton of gear. You just need your favorite songs that you want to flip and Serato Studio or Ableton, and, you know, just watching some tutorials here and there, and you'll figure it out. It's not too hard to do. If you're a DJ out there and you play out a lot and you want to put your own flavor on some of the songs that are out, you know, highly recommend doing stuff like that. Just using it as a little tool in your belt. For producers digging for different samples and flips and things like that, definitely check out Serato Studio to use as, you know, tools to kind of create stuff or get inspiration. And so yeah, that's gonna be it. Hopefully this tutorial kind of helps you guys figure out your own flavors. If you want to check out some of the edits that I've done, I'll hop over to my website, crlcrrll.com, musicgearmonday.com, and check those out. We'll be back next week with another Music Gear Monday. I'm Carl Carell. Peace.